For much of the 19th century, Imperial Russia, which included much of Poland, contained the world's largest Jewish population. However, Jews were banned from many jobs and locations. By the end of the 1940s, the communist leadership of former USSR had closed almost all Jewish organizations, with the exception of a few token synagogues, which were placed under police surveillance. During the Cold War in the 1960s, Soviet Jews were thought to be a security liability or possible traitors. Jews encountered institutional anti-Semitism, which blocked their opportunities for advancement. Soviet restrictions in religious education and expression prevented Jews from engaging in Jewish cultural and religious life. Slowly, the Jewish world took notice. Between 1967 and 1989, following the Six-Day War, Jewish activism in Russia and international support from Jewish religious and social organizations in the United States increased. They were ultimately successful in publicizing the plight of Soviet Jewry, giving the Jewish people one of its most remarkable modern-day success stories.
Hello, my name is Ann Polensky, and I was chair of the Soviet Jewry movement here in Phoenix in the 1970s and 80s. The basic premise of the movement was to draw attention to the cause of helping Soviet Jews emigrate from the Soviet Union to the free world. Bar and Bat Mitzvah twinning was one of the techniques used by the various Soviet Jewry organizations throughout the country to publicize the plight of the Soviet Jews. Basically, it was a proxy ceremony by a bar or bat mitzvah child for a child in the Soviet Union who could not have a bar or bat mitzvah due to the persecution of the Jews in that country. The benefits of the twinning program were threefold. Number one, it educated the American child who took his or her bar or bat mitzvah for granted about the persecution of Jewish children in other countries. Secondly, it engaged American Jewish families in the movement. And third, it was another opportunity for us as activists to get publicity about the plight of Soviet Jews. In 1983, Jill Cooper was one of the children who came to me to have a bat mitzvah twin, and her twin's name was Maia.
We had 2 cakes at our daughter's bat mitzvahs, one for our daughter and one for her Soviet Union twin. We gave postcards to our bat mitzvah guests to send to each of our daughter's twins in the Soviet Union. I actually have one of the postcards right here that I will read to you. Dear Maia, I wanted you to know that I was a guest at the twinning of your bat mitzvah with Jill Cooper in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States on December 15th, 1983. I am thinking about you and your family and sending good wishes to you on this special day. It was a wonderful time in our lives, a joyous occasion, but a very, very difficult lesson for our children about the harsh reality of life.
Good evening. Hopefully you all know who I am. I knew that I had to get Jill something memorable to thank her for all of the hard work she put into planning this amazing weekend in honor of Maia. But what do you get the woman who has everything? My search for the perfect gift began this past summer, but some background information first. Early on in our relationship, Jill told me about her bat mitzvah and the memorable experience of twinning her bat mitzvah with a girl from Russia, Maia Klitsch. The twinning experience helped Jill feel like her bat mitzvah had an international influence and heightened her sense of connection and Jewish pride and awareness. So much so that Jill never forgot Maia, even though they lost contact some months after the bat mitzvah. When Jill was pregnant and we were thinking of possible girl names that began with an M for my mother, Michael, there was little doubt in Jill's mind. Maia it would be, in large part due to Jill's positive recollections of her bat mitzvah twin, Maia Klitsch. A nice story, yes, but what about the gift part? Luckily, my mother-in-law Joyce keeps very meticulous records in her address book. In fact, 30 years later, she still had Maia's address in the Ukraine. I bet you're curious what happened next. Stay tuned.
My name is R.J. Kirshner. I'm a private investigator in Orange County, California. what we did is we took the initial information you gave us, and we had people on the ground in the Ukraine attempt to locate Maia and her family. And we had a lot of difficulty doing that, likely because at the end they were living in the United States, but we didn't know that. So over periods of time, we had people checking on the ground to try and locate them, and we also utilized some international databases. But fortunately, during the course of all this unrest in the Ukraine, I had one last partner to tap over there, and I was able to get a hold of him, and he was able to point us in the right direction because he had a connection in the government where he determined that Maia and her family had emigrated to the United States. And so based upon a little bit of legwork and a lot of patience and a lot of checking and double checking, we were able to locate Maia and her family. So that's the basic story. It took from July to the end of January to do it, and we're just happy to be a part of the process. Take care and enjoy your reunion. Thank you so much.